Hi, I'm Mitch, and this is a video on all the Excel tips and tricks that I've learned over the years that have helped me to accelerate my workflow in Excel. I'm going to show you these tips and tricks by way of example. I've got some data here that I need to process and analyze in Excel anyway, and so I'm going to do that data analysis, and in the course of doing it, I'm going to show you all of the different hotkeys and shortcuts that I use, and those are the real subject of this video. So I encourage you to keep your eyes down on this bottom right hand of the video and see all of the different keystrokes that I'm using. So let's get into it. So first, let's open a new book in Excel. I first draw your attention to the fact that I have enabled the developer tab here. If you haven't done that, I've got a really short video on that. I'd suggest you do it. I'm going to use the developer tab a little bit later to record a bunch of the stuff that I'm doing so that when I go to my next data set and have to analyze that, it's going to be, for the most part, as simple as just running a macro. Each set of dates that I took data, I've got a CSV file and I've got an Excel file. I want to put those all into a single Excel file and do some math on them. So let's open our Excel file first. And first I just want to copy all of this data from this Excel file into my new one. So there's a couple ways that I can select all the data. I can just do Control A, which selects it all, or if I come back up here, I can do Control Shift over, which highlights all the way over to the right bound, and then Control Shift down, and that highlights everything as well. And then we can do Control C. So now I'd like to paste that into my new Excel document. We've got a few options for pasting here. The most common option is to just say Control V, and that seems to have worked. All of the formatting and data came in just fine. That's not always the case, so I want to show you a few other options you've got. I'm going to Control Z to undo what I've just done. And then I'm going to come back to my first cell and right click on it because that's where I want to start. And you can see all of these different paste options. So if I do just the normal paste option, there again, it pasted everything in the way I'd like it to. If I paste just the values, you can see that I lose the formatting on my time, on my date and time. And that might actually be useful to me later. It's kind of useful to know that dates are whole numbers and then times are the decimals after that whole number. That's going to come in useful later. And you can see that we've got a number of other options here. But for now, because Control V worked, I'm just going to do that. So now I need to go get my data from my CSV file. And here's how that CSV file looks. It's not actually comma separated. It looks like it got written as space separation. So that's okay. I'm just going to Control A there and Control C here and come back into my Excel file. And I'm going to want to have to manually put headers on all of that. So I'm going to paste it down here on row 2 so that I've got space for my headers. And now if I Control V that also worked, which is great. But there's a couple other ways that you can do that. Sometimes when you paste data in from a CSV or some other text file, it doesn't paste quite right. So if the Control V function doesn't work and it pastes in a way that you didn't expect, you can always come up to Paste and use. You can sometimes get away with Paste Special, but I'm going to use the Text Import Wizard, and you can see that it shows me down here how it's going to paste. And so if I just paste it here, it's just going to be all those numbers all in one cell. So I want to choose that I do have it delimited. The delimitation is how the individual data entries are separated, and the default is to say that it's space delimited, but you can see that that's not putting it into columns here. So those must be tab delimiters, and now you can see that it's going to be in separate columns. And then and then it's going to be in separate rows as well. So if I hit next and finish, it separates the data into rows and columns exactly like I wanted it to. So now I've got all of my data copied into a single file, and everything I do with it from here on out is going to be the same every time I analyze a new set of data. So I'd like to automate that. I'll go up into the Developer tab, and I will record a macro. And I'm going to call this laser intensity analysis, because this data is based on laser intensity as a function of ambient conditions. So I hit OK. And just to orient you to the file a little bit, these are all the ambient conditions. That was the first set of data that I loaded in, and then these are the laser intensity oscilloscope readings. So first I'm going to give my column headers names. Done. So I'm going to add a row below row 1, and then I'm going to do some Control C, Control V. And then I'm going to get a little fancy with my column headers here. So instead of degree C, I would like this to make this the degree symbol. So I'm going to go home. Actually, I'm going to go to insert, symbol. And I happen to have used the degree sign a few times, but if you need to go find it in here, it's going to be in the Latin 1 supplement. There it is. Degree sign, insert, close. And I inserted it twice. That's okay. I'll just delete it once. And then I'm going to change my channel 2 value here to T ambient. So T, and then I would like to do underscore ambient. And I know that a lot of folks would just highlight that and turn it into a subscript, but I'm actually preparing these column headers to be series names in a plot later. And so you'll have to trust me on this. We're going to go to symbol, and I want a subscript A and a subscript M. So I'm going to go to subscripts. Superscripts and subscripts. And you can see in superscripts and subscripts, we get all of our superscript numbers here, except the ones we want most, which is 1, 2, and 3. And here's all of our our subscripts as well, including a number of letters that we want. And there's A, insert, and there's M, insert, close. Okay, so I've put my units up into row 2, and so I don't really need these columns with full columns of units. So there's a couple ways that I can delete this. If I want to delete the entire column, I can highlight. You can see that my cursor turned into a down arrow. I left clicked on it. I've highlighted the whole column. Now I can right click and say delete, and it eliminates the whole column and shifts everything over. I'm going to do the same thing for the degree C column. And then now let's say I want 3 empty, I still want to get rid of this, but I want 3 empty columns between these two. I can either delete the whole column and then reinsert a column, or I can highlight and do Control Shift down, and it goes down to the next thing, and then down again, and that brings me to the end of my column of data, and now I can just delete all of that. And now the column stays, but the data disappears. And now I'd like to turn my date and time into a single date and time column. So I'm going to highlight here, and I'm going to right click and insert a column. And then I want a single column that represents my date and time, because this is going to be my x-axis when I go to plot this data. Date and time. And if we turn our formatting for date and time into general, you can see that you can kind of see that it's easy to add it. The date is whole numbers and the time is decimals. So if we just say that date and time equals the date plus the time, and I'm just going to fast forward through some of my formatting here. And I don't need to see all those numbers. And then I want to apply that formula all the way down. If I hover over this little box in the bottom right side of my cell, you can see that my cursor changes to a bold black plus sign. And now if I double click, that fills it down. And if I do just control down, that'll jump me to the bottom of the page and I can prove to you it filled all the way down. So now if I do control up, that brings me back to the top of the page. Okay, so now the goal of the data analysis here is that I've got all of this ambient condition data that I took with one recording device, and I'd like to plot the resulting laser intensity that I recorded with a totally different recording device here. So I'm going to create a time column here that steps forward in the approximate data rate that these were taken. And I'm just going to fast forward through my development of this column because there's nothing really new in it and it took me a while and frankly I was a little bit clunky. Okay, and now I'd like to plot the Heaney pitch, the Heaney catch, the CO2 pitch, and the CO2 catch laser intensities against each other. But those lasers have very different intensities. And what I'm actually interested in is the percentage change in the intensities. So I'm going to add some columns here. So that added one column. And then if I just hit F4, that will do another column. And F4. And then another F4. So F4 means do the same thing that you just did. It basically means repeat the previous command. And I'm going to name these Heaney pitch. And those column headers don't need to mean too much to you, but they mean something to me. Those are just different laser signals from two different lasers, a helium neon laser and a CO2 laser. And then we have two detectors, a pitch and a catch detector. And now I'm going to normalize these four columns are going to be the corresponding signals normalized by the original signal. So this is going to equal each value in this row divided by the first value in that row, which means that I want this one to update as it goes down, and I want this one to not update as it goes down. That one to stay constant. And then since I didn't put a $sign in front of the Q, I want this column to just be R. So I can drag this over and you can see that it's updated R. Okay. And then same thing here is divided by that. And I want that. And I can drag that one over. Okay? And of course they all start with 1 because they're all normalized by themselves here. And now I can just highlight that whole thing and hover over this and double click to fill down. Now I'm going to move these column headers down. And here again, I've got this CO2, and I would like that 2 to be a subscript 2. So I'm going to go to Insert, Symbol, and I've got my subscript 2 down here, but let's go back and find it where you'll find it. And there's my 2. So Insert, Close, and here again, symbol. And now I've used it, so my most recently used ones are here, so I'll just hit to insert close. Good. And now I'm going to use these to make a table. So I'm going to highlight the headers. These are going to become the series names for my data in my plot. And I'm going to Control Shift down. And I'm going to insert a chart here. And I'd like just a scatter with straight lines. And there it is. And you can see here now that in this plot, my 2 is subscripted. So if we go back to the top of this plot, and I make this, let's see if I can make this 2 a subscript in a different way. So I highlight it, and I'll hit subscript, OK. And it looks the same here. But now if we go back down to the plot we just made, you can see that even though it's subscripted formatting-wise in the table, it's not subscripted here. So the only way to get that subscript in your legend, or superscripts for that matter, is to actually make them symbols. It's one of the irritating things about Excel, but now you know. So let's change that back. And now that it's a symbol, it will now that I've changed it back to a symbol, the subscript comes back. So I'm going to stop recording at this point. And now I'm going to close out of this Excel file, open a new one, and paste some new data into that, and see if once I've pasted the data, I can get my macro to do all of this work for me. Okay, so finally, let's see if that macro that we recorded is going to help us save some time. I've opened a new book in Excel, and I've pasted in the next day's set of data. And now instead of redoing all of that work that I just showed you manually, I'm going to go up to Developer, go to Macros, choose the macro I recorded, and see if it will do all of my work for me. So let's just hit Run. And there it took care of everything up until the first plot that I made. Now, you'll have to be a little bit careful because the recording of the macro can be very literal. So for example, here, the numbers that it types in there are going to be the exact same numbers that we put in the previous Excel sheet. And if your series lengths are a different length, then those numbers aren't going to match up. So you do have to be a little bit careful with these macros to make sure that they've recorded exactly what you think they have. But it's a lot easier to fix a couple of numbers and formulas, than to redo all the work myself. So I hope that was helpful.